He was handsome, intelligent, and charismatic, a promising law student with a bright future. But behind the charming facade lurked a monster, one of the most notorious serial killers in American history. This is the chilling story of Ted Bundy. How did a man who seemed to have it all transform into a ruthless predator? And how did he manage to deceive everyone around him for so long? Today we're unraveling the twisted tale of Ted Bundy, from his seemingly normal childhood to his horrifying reign of terror. Theodore Robert Bundy was born in 1946. On the surface, his early life seemed unremarkable. He was known as a bright but shy boy. As he grew into a young man, he developed a magnetic personality. He was well-spoken, politically ambitious, and incredibly charming, especially to women. He studied psychology at the University of Washington and later enrolled in law school in Utah. To the outside world, he was the picture of success. But this carefully constructed image was a mask, hiding a dark and growing compulsion. The first signs of Bundy's dark side emerged in the early 1970s. Young women, often college students with long dark hair parted in the middle, began disappearing across Washington and Oregon. The pattern was terrifying, but the culprit remained elusive. Bundy's method was chillingly deceptive. He often feigned an injury, wearing a cast or using crutches, to prey on the kindness of his victims. He would ask for help carrying books or loading something into his car, a light-colored Volkswagen Beetle. Once they were close, he would strike, incapacitating them before they could even scream. This manipulative tactic, exploiting empathy, became his sinister trademark. He was a wolf in sheep's clothing, and his charm was his most dangerous weapon. The hunt for the handsome killer was one of the most extensive and frustrating in U.S. history. Authorities across multiple states were grappling with a series of baffling disappearances and murders, unaware they were all connected to one man. Bundy was a ghost, moving from state to state, leaving a trail of devastation in his wake. He moved to Utah for law school, and the disappearances followed him. Then to Colorado, and the pattern repeated. He was meticulous and cunning, often disposing of his victims in remote, wooded areas, making it incredibly difficult for law enforcement to find them or gather evidence. He was a master of evasion, a phantom who seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at once. One of the key pieces of evidence that began to tighten the net was Bundy's iconic Volkswagen Beetle. In August 1975, a Utah highway patrolman pulled Bundy over. A search of his car revealed a strange collection of items: a crowbar, a face mask, rope, and handcuffs. It was suspicious, but not enough to link him directly to the murders. However, this traffic stop put him on the radar. Later, when a survivor, Carol Darench, identified him in a police lineup, the case against him began to solidify. She had narrowly escaped his grasp after he posed as a police officer. Her courageous testimony was a crucial turning point. The handsome facade was finally starting to crumble. Despite being in custody, Bundy's reign of terror was far from over. In a display of shocking arrogance and ingenuity, he managed to escape from custody not once, but twice. His first escape was almost theatrical. During a court hearing in Aspen, Colorado, he was acting as his own attorney, which allowed him to be free of handcuffs and leg shackles. He asked to use the law library and, when left unsupervised, simply jumped out of a second-story window and vanished into the mountains. He was on the run for 6 days before being recaptured. His second escape was even more audacious. While awaiting trial in a jail in Glenwood Springs, Colorado, he spent months chipping away at the ceiling of his cell. He had lost a significant amount of weight, allowing him to squeeze through a small opening into the crawl space above. From there, he navigated through the building's infrastructure and walked right out the front door to freedom. This time he headed for Florida. Free once again, his homicidal rage erupted in one of his most brutal and infamous attacks. In January 1978, he broke into the Chi Omega sorority house at Florida State University, viciously attacking 4 women and killing 2 of them. Days later, he abducted and murdered his final victim, a 12-year-old girl named Kimberly Leach. The nationwide manhunt finally came to an end in February 1978 in Pensacola, Florida. A police officer spotted a stolen car and pulled it over. The driver was Ted Bundy. The hunt was over. His trial in Florida was a media sensation, the first to be nationally televised. Bundy, ever the narcissist, seemed to relish the attention. He acted as his own lawyer, cross-examining witnesses and charming the cameras. But his charisma couldn't save him this time. Bite marks left on one of the sorority victims became the key forensic evidence. Dental impressions from Bundy were a perfect match. The jury found him guilty, and he was sentenced to death. In the days leading up to his execution, Bundy began to confess. In a series of shocking interviews, he finally admitted to the full scope of his crimes, ultimately confessing to 30 murders across 7 states between 1974 and 1978, though the true number of his victims is believed to be much higher. He spoke of his dark compulsions in a chillingly detached manner, offering twisted psychological explanations for his actions. These confessions provided a horrifying glimpse into the mind of a predator, a man devoid of empathy who viewed other human beings as mere objects for his gratification. On January 24, 1989, Ted Bundy was executed in Florida's electric chair. His death marked the end of a terrifying chapter in American crime history, but his legacy haunts us to this day. It serves as a stark reminder that evil doesn't always wear a monstrous face. Sometimes it wears a mask of charm and intelligence. It's crucial that we remember the victims, the bright, promising lives he so brutally cut short. We remember them not as statistics in a killer's story, but as individuals whose loss is still felt by their families and communities. Their names are Margaret Bowman, Lisa Levy, Karen Chandler, Kathy Kleiner, Cheryl Thomas, Kimberly Leach, and dozens of others. Their stories are the ones that truly matter. The study of Bundy's case has taught law enforcement invaluable lessons about criminal psychology and investigative techniques, helping to catch other predators. But the most important lesson is a societal one: to remain vigilant, to look beyond the surface, and to never forget the devastating human cost of such darkness. Thank you for watching. If you found this deep dive insightful, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content. Stay safe.